is not an existential threat to Israel, but it is a strategic threat. Now, let's compare the records of these two countries. Iran has never attacked a neighbor. Israel has repeatedly attacked its neighbors. Iran signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel has refused to sign. Iran submits to inspection by the International Nuclear Energy Agency. Israel refuses to submit. Iran has no nuclear weapons. Israel has between 75 and 400 nuclear weapons. So Israel poses an existential threat to Iran. Now, okay, briefly, and then I have one more point to make. For the last 40 years, Israel has conducted a systematic campaign of disinformation about Iran. Why the lies? Why the double standards? Why the hypocrisy?
Israel, only out of self-defense, is defending itself, and Israel has never, ever threatened another country.
Israel has attacked its neighbors, not in self-defense. One example, the first one, is the Suez War of 1956. It wasn't a war of self-defense. It was a colonial conspiracy to attack Egypt. Lebanon, 1982 was most emphatically not a war of self-defense. It was an Israeli invasion of Lebanon. Iran.
Okay, hold on. Now, this is what they're saying. This is facts. These are facts. Okay, and America is defending these sons of bitches, right?
Israel has a nuclear doctrine called the Samson option. It is not a theory. It was described by Israeli officials, documented by Samir Hersh in 1991, and confirmed by declassified U.S. intelligence. The doctrine: if Israel faces existential destruction, it will take the world down with it. Israel has never signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It has never allowed IAEA inspections of its Dimona nuclear facility. The U.S. government has known about Israel's nuclear weapons since at least 1968, confirmed by declassified State Department cables. The official position remains: neither confirm nor deny. In 1986, Israeli nuclear technician Mordachi Vanunu leaked photographs and technical details of Israel's nuclear weapons programs to the Sunday Times of London. He was subsequently kidnapped by Mossad in Rome, smuggled to Israel, convicted of treason in a secret trial, and spent 11 years in solitary confinement. The U.S. provides Israel with $3.8 billion in military aid annually under a 10-year MOU signed in 2016. Federal law: the Symington Amendment prohibits U.S. aid to countries that possess nuclear weapons and have not signed the NPT. Israel meets both criteria. The law has never been applied to Israel. Every other country suspected of pursuing nuclear weapons faces sanctions, inspections, and military threats. One country has had nuclear weapons for 60 years, refuses inspections, and receives $3.8 billion per year from the country whose laws forbid it. Full documentation at timelinesyndicate.com, link in.
Right. Israel has never signed the NPT and never allowed IAEA inspections of Dimona. Declassified State Department cables in 1968 confirmed U.S. has known for 60-plus years. Mordecai Vanunu leaked weapons program photos to Sunday Times in 1986, kidnapped by the Israeli Mossad, a.k.a. ISIS, the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. That's what ISIS stands for. 11 years in solitary confinement. The Symington Amendment prohibits aid to undeclared nuclear states and never applied to Israel. Okay? So these motherfuckers have basically been getting away with murder, okay, since the 60s.
Iran.
It's funny how there is a 180 degree in perspective depending on who is doing or getting what.
Not at all. We have a right to open carry in Florida.
What the fuck ever.
One man returned from exile and changed Iran forever. For 15 years, Ayatollah Khomeini lived in the shadows of exile, biding his time as the spirit of revolution brewed back home.
Right? Okay. And this is when the older cat that they just blew up, when he was a young man, okay, or relatively young in his 50s. That's when late 40s, early 50s. That's when he took over. Okay, and for the last 40 years, in 1989 till today, Donald Trump just unalived the man, and Mustafa Khomeini, okay, lost his wife, he lost his son, he lost his legs, and he lost his father. He probably lost his mother, don't know. This man has a reason and has absolutely nothing to lose by destroying Israel. He has nothing to lose, man. It is an existential threat, right? We just saw 2 videos that proves that Israel are the aggressor. Let's go get it. Let's go get it. Boom, 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 boom. Second Ezra 15 and 28, I think it is. Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots. And we just saw proof of all of the chariots they came out with. They're calling the chariots drones today. Right? They're calling the chariots cluster bombs today. Right? And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind. How are the multitude of them carried as the wind if they're not missiles? Cluster bombs falling from the sky, right? They get to a certain altitude above a city and then it explodes outward. And then each of the lights is a cluster bomb in itself with 200 milligrams or kilograms of explosive. Boom! Each one. And these cluster bombs explode. It's 20 of these cluster bombs that explode out from just one bomb, right? And then you have 20 that bust out. Okay, and they shower the place and destroy every goddamn thing, any standing building, with car, the street, a school bus. It doesn't matter, man. They're coming down to smash it all. Boom, 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 boom. It's similar to a carpet bombing that America does to countries that don't capitulate and bow down to their wicked imaginations against them, right? And all they which hear them may fear and tremble. You have videos of Israeli begging the Caramanians, please, Iran, stop bombing us, okay? We surrender, we give up. Like that a bitch. As long as you were bombing the shit out of people and killing the goddamn shit out of people, you were over there having a party, dancing around in a fucking circle and doing every goddamn thing else. As long as everything was happening in your favor, you ain't had a problem with them people over there dying. Now you're getting your ass kicked and now you want to whine about it? Man, Edomites. Y'all ain't worth a goddamn plug nickel. Verse 30. Also the Caramanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. And the Assyrians are a naturally oppressive and warlike people. They oppress the children of Israel. The original 10 tribes that they claim is lost. Okay? They claim that it's lost. It wasn't lost. 2 Ezra chapter 13 verse 40 leaves a perfect clue as to where the 10 tribes went after they were released from the Assyrian captivity. They decided to come away from the so-called Middle East. I say so-called because it's Western Asia. Middle East is a newspeak word that just jumped off in the 1950s. Okay? Before then it was Western Asia. Everybody knows it as Western Asia. The entire world knows it as Western Asia. Only America and Israel call it the Middle East. And the entire fucking planet. Okay? Anyway. Which is more, what is it? The dude that just said the word for it. I forgot the name of it. Disinformation. Misinformation. Right. Right. Verse 31. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. And if they shall turn themselves, they are currently considering turning their backs on U.S. military bases, which they've done. They're pissed off at Iran because Iran is bombing banks and their oil structure. Okay, their oil pumping facilities, military bases of the U.S. embassies and U.S. military bases in their countries: UAE, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Libya, Qatar, Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq. Okay. Okay. Then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. Who are them? The Assyrians. Right? And that's what they're doing. They're conspiring in great power because they have the upper hand. By shutting off the Straits of Hormuz, okay, they have the upper hand on the entire world and can pressure them to conspire together to destroy America, Babylon the Great. Let's get it. Obadiah. Yep, you knew where I was headed. Obadiah. Obadiah 1, verse 7. Right? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. And they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding in him. Right? Let's go get... Man, come on. This goddamn phone. Man, come on, man. I ain't do none of that pushing buttons. Just fucking... Anyway, where was I at, man? See? Forgot my place. Okay, go back to Obadiah, chapter 1. Come on, man. All right. Does what it wants. See? It does what it wants. Ain't nothing I can do, man. I went straight to Obadiah. Y'all saw me do that, right? Okay. Isaiah chapter 33, verse 1. Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. Right? AMP. Okay. Let's go and change that. Come on. AMP to NLT. What does NLT say? Right? Okay. Going back to Obadiah 1. Oh, come on. NLT. And we'll come down to 7. Right? All your allies will turn against you, and they will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it. Right? All the men allied with you shall send you on your way to the border. The men who were at peace with you shall deceive you and overpower you. Those who eat your bread, those who you trust, shall set a hostile ambush for you. There is no understanding of it. Right? So that's in the NOT and the NAAMP. Okay? So, yeah. Esau is just pretty much fucked, man. There's nowhere for him to go. Man, come on, man. Wow. There's nowhere for this guy to go, man. All right. Let's go over here to Jeremiah. Let me see. Jeremiah chapter 50. Verse, let's see, 16? All right. Right? Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 16. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn everyone to his people, and they shall flee everyone to his own land. And right now, you have, do you remember last year, or was it earlier this year? I'm trying to remember between January and this year and January last year. I think it was last year that Donald Trump allowed so-called South Africans, claiming that the so-called these white South Africans, right? So-called white Edomite Caucasians, clearly South Africans, because how the fuck can you call yourselves from South Africa, you know, you Edomite devils, when the British colonies, you colonized that entire region of an entire country through apartheid, and apartheid is the extermination through genocide of the indigenous population of people that were there. That's what apartheid is. It's just another word for genocide. Okay? And they legally did that shit for over, 25, 30 years, 50 years, 80 years. And the apartheid exterminated the so-called Hamites that were there in order to take over their land, set up their puppet government there, okay, and rule over the Hamites in that region of so-called Africa, which is the land of Canaan. You know, and they did this shit deliberately and on purpose, man. These motherfuckers knew exactly what they were doing, man. Now these Edomite devils, they were saying that the Hamites were telling these Edomite Caucasians to get out of their country, forcing them out, raping their women, burning their farms, destroying their livestock. Okay? And so these people feared for their lives. And Donald Trump allowed them a free passage to come to America, paid for the passport, and actually paid them to have children. Because Edom realizes that he has become small among the heathen, right? Like it says in the book of Obadiah. Where is it at? I just saw it. Obadiah. Right? Verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. Right? So my point being about Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 16, a lot of these so-called South Africans came to America thinking that they would living in the land of milk and honey and all this shit. They got over here, Donald Trump gave them a job, but they're not able to and have farms, but they're not able to pick the crops themselves because they don't have the free slave labor that they had back in Africa. They don't have the free slave labor that they thought that they were going to have here in America with the so-called illegal immigrants picking their crops for them. They have to pick the crops themselves. Nobody's helping them. So they said, well, fuck it, we can't make any money. And the government owns the fucking land, so we can't make any money. We were making more money back home. So now all the so-called South Africans, these Edomite Caucasians, are leaving America and going back to their South Africa. Wait a minute. Donald Trump said that the so-called Africans or Hamites, the dark-skinned people, races of the people, the Egyptians, Hagarenes, the Philistines, blah, 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 were genociding those so-called white South Africans. They were doing reverse apartheid or whatever. Okay, and they were unaliving these white South Africans through genocide. So America was giving them asylum, right? Now these people are willing to go back into a state of genocide and turn their back on the asylum here in America in order to go back to be unalived deliberately with a smile on their face, packing boxes and shit. Really? Come on, man. Bullshit. Hold on. Let me prove that. Hold on. Man, come on. God damn it. Fucking Salakia. I apologize. I get frustrated very quickly. Let's see. Okay. South African return home. Right? Right? A significant number of South Africans, particularly white expatriates, are returning home from the US and UK, driven by lower living costs, better quality of life, and family ties. This trend reverses previous immigration spurred by high expenses abroad, safety fears in the US, and improved local conditions like reduced power outages. Right? key driving factors to return home. Economic realities. The high cost of living and financial pressures in the U.S. have led many to return. Safety concerns abroad. Many returning cite safety concerns in the United States, such as mass shootings and violent crime. Quality of life. Many South Africans are returning for a better, more affordable lifestyle, including better schools and better access to health care. Wait a minute. Donald Trump said that these motherfuckers were being massacred and allowed them asylum here in America and gave them farms and financed these people money to have children and raise families on farms. Why are they leaving? See the laundry list of the reasons why they're leaving? Okay? Remote work flexibility. The ability to work remotely for international employers allows people to enjoy a lower cost of living while earning in foreign currency. Okay? So a lot of these people, a lot of these ragheads from India, from Pakistan, from Thailand, that came over here to Vietnam, that's got all these businesses and so-called black people's neighborhoods, are going to shut down and set up shop back home. They're going to pack up all the businesses that they've had here for years and go back home because they can deal in their own currency, because their own currency is more valuable than the U.S. petrodollar based on the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. See what I mean? Okay, so it's going to be a mass exodus here in the next 6 months of Asians. People are going to just up and leave. They're going to quit their motherfucking job, man, and go back home with the money that they've got because, shit, they're living the high lifestyle of what they would be doing here in America, except they can do it at home. And they don't have to worry about mass shootings. They don't have to worry about, you can't take your family to the movies because some fucker going to come and blow the place up. You got lunatics going in there shooting mass shootings. These Edomite devils crashing the fuck out. You know? You see what I'm saying? Improved local environment. Improvements in local infrastructure such as reduced power outages and better security have made South Africa more appealing. Reclaiming citizenship. Many are utilizing a government portal to restore citizenship, with roughly 1,000 having already done so by March 2026. The trend has been characterized as a repatriation driven by practical, financial, and emotional reasons rather than solely political ones. Okay, these motherfucking crackers are good in the fuck out of here, man. Okay, it's not cracked up what they thought it was cracked up to be. Donald Trump told them they could have a better life here in America. Okay, they could be repatriated later. Okay, and they can use dual citizenship and benefit from the United States petrodollar. But now that the United States petrodollar is losing value, they don't see the point in staying. And then they don't have to worry about power outages. They don't have to worry about, all of the things that we have to worry about here in America. They can go back where the fuck they came from. We're not dual citizens. We're stuck here. Okay? Yeah. So, okay. And go back to Jeremiah. What was that? Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 23. Salakia. Right? How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Right? If Babylon, the America, is a hammer, everybody else has to be a fucking nail, right? That's the reason why the Bible calls America, Babylon the Great, the hammer of the whole earth, because everybody else is a nail. And they go from country to country, stealing natural resources and using their wicked military, okay, in order to steal these natural resources and to force people into compliance against their will. Okay? 24. I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. How did they strive against the Most High? They say that the law is done away with here in America. Right? They say the white folks, through white privilege and white supremacy, can do whatever the fuck they want to do, but everybody else is constrained under the law that they set up to govern themselves. Okay? And to put the foot on the necks of everybody else. Right? Through white privilege and white supremacy. Right? White is a social construct. It's a construct. They created white people white people were created in 1681. Okay? To stop white women, so-called white women, from intermingling with the natives, with the slaves. They would rather be with the slaves, okay, and live in squalor than to be at the top with these Edomites that are boy lovers at heart, that rape little boys. They sell a boy for a harlot and a girl for wine that they might drink. You see? And, you know, their consciousness couldn't deal with that shit. So they would come down and soar with the turkeys down here instead of soaring with the eagles at the top. Okay? And a lot of these women would marry the slaves. I'm telling you, they would marry them and have their children. And they didn't have a fucking problem with it. Okay? They just didn't have a problem with it. Okay? They created laws that would make it against the law and a federal offense to marry a slave. And if you did marry a slave, you would be disowned as a so-called white person. Okay, now you also have individuals from Ireland, from Scotland, and some individuals from England that were criminals in their lands that they stole from the indigenous population of people that lived there who were melanated, okay, and sent over here to America, okay, in order to start another life. This was the toilet for the so-called white people over in the British Isles and the European nations. America was the toilet where they got rid of all of their criminals. Okay? These Edomites have been doing this shit to other countries for years. Okay? Now, under the Biden regime, they started sending their criminals from other countries back to America. But at the same time, you had military troops that were coming in posing as citizens. You know, these so-called sleeper cells. You see? But anyway, like I said before, verse 25, the Lord hath opened his armory and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation, for this is the work of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, the power of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. Right? This is the work of the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, to bring these devils down to where they have nothing. You know, it's only fair. What the fuck? Verse 29, call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about, let none thereof escape. And on the East Coast, you have Russian submarines that are still there around Cuba, trying to come in and bring help, and America is stopping them, right? And they're not telling you about that. The power grid, they're telling you about the power grid in Cuba is no longer, but they're not telling you about there's a stalemate in the fucking ocean surrounding Cuba. They're not telling you that. Okay? And then, let's see. Right? They're not telling you that. Where's that? 29, right? Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done. Do unto her, for she hath been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel. With the chest stuck out. These Epstein files, everybody in the fucking world knows the pride of these devils, man. Eating babies. I made a video a couple of months ago saying about Vladimir Putin putting it out on mainstream media that the American population have been eating human remains, and human remains has been put into their food supply without them knowing it. You see? So everybody in the world thinks that we're eating cadavers. We're eating human flesh and drinking blood over here. Everybody in the fucking world is then took off. All by itself. So the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai not only is destroying the ideology of America being the epitome of riches and wealth in power in the world by bringing them down to the ground, but he's also going to do it militarily as well. Verse 30. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord. How are they going to be cut off? Well, let's go over here to Joel. Salakia. Joel chapter 2, verse 20. Right? Right? Joel chapter 2, verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate. This land that is barren and desolate would have to be Saudi Arabia, because if they want to go and have a war against Iran, they have to use what military bases they can get to. But Iran knows that America would use these military bases and are continuously bombing these military bases in case they come there. Cyprus, everything. They bombed the British consulate in Cyprus. They bombed the not Iran, but Israel have bombed the North Korean embassy in Iran. Okay, Kim Jong-il has a reason to get into this fight with the thermonuclear weapon. He's been dying to use his weapons, okay, just to see how well they do in a fight. Right? And his face toward the eastern sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. Okay? Now, if I put that in Chat GPT, if I can find that. Where is chat? There it is. Let's type that in. Salakia. Hold on. See, nothing I can do, man. Shit. Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. I don't know. Maybe I'll just do it later. That's all good. I'll just do the shit later. Ain't no big deal. But anyway, man, come on, man. This damn telephone just does what it wants to now, man. See, this new phone is full. Just wow. Okay. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, and his face toward the eastern sea, and his hindermost part toward the utmost sea. So he would be backed in between the Mediterranean, okay, and the utmost sea, which would be the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean, right? And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. Right? So the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai's got these devils in the perfect trick bag. Ain't nothing they can do, man. Okay? Wow, this is crazy, man. Let me go back over here to Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 4. I think, let me remember right. Right? I'll start at verse 4. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 4. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. And that's exactly what's going on. All of these look, you think the Most High is not controlling the mind of Donald Trump, having this godless devil beg the heathen nations to help him control the Straits of Hormuz by bringing them inadvertently into a war between Iran, United States, and Israel? All of these heathen nations know what America is fucking trying to do, to get them involved, because they're losing and they need help. Okay? Donald Trump did not think about this thing. He wasn't him. Okay? He was told to do this shit by B.B. Makowalski, who was told to do this shit by the Rothschild family. These bastards did not think this through. They thought that they could just go off into Venezuela, like they did Venezuela and Maduro, take him, kidnap him, put his ass in prison, and take over and set up a puppet. They thought they could do the same thing over in Iran, but inadvertently killed all the people that were supposed to be the puppets and the leader, and they tried to kill Mujabi Khomeini, okay, but they took off one of his legs, unalived his wife, unalived his dad, unalived his son, and unalived all of his friends. He was the only one that survived to that shit. What would you do? Would you not want revenge? Like it says in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, and as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Right? Proverbs chapter 16, verse 4 says, the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, hath made all things for himself. Yep, even the wicked for the day of evil. And the day of evil is coming upon these devils. Right? The noise of a multitude in the mountains, and the mountains are governments, right? Like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. All of these nations are going to be gathered together, pressured by the oil consumption and the Strait of Hormuz to turn against America and Israel. Okay? Biblically prophesied that's what's going to happen. They're going to deal treacherously with America and Israel. And that's what they're doing by not helping them. See? The Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Okay? So, these devils are just about done, man. Stick the fork in their ass. They don't even know that they're finished yet. Right? Verse 6. Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore all hands shall be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. And every man's heart in here in America, Babylon the Great, is going to melt when they push the national draft. Okay? They want, by June of this year, 2026, they want all Americans between the ages of 18 and 26 to be registered in selective service, so this way they can be drafted into the military. Wow. And they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed at one another. Their faces shall be as flames. Right? Behold, the day of the Lord cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. So, yep, America's damn near just about done, man. Okay, let me go over here to Isaiah chapter 47. I think it is. Let me see. I think it's 47 and 10. Let me see. Let me think. Okay, let me start up some. Verse 7. Isaiah chapter 47, verse 7. And thou saidst, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst thou remember the latter end of it. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, and that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. Bullshit. You're going to know the loss of children by June of this year. Oh, yeah. They're going to speed up this national draft because they're losing hundreds of soldiers in all of these naval bases in the Gulf countries, in the Gulf states, in the global South, that are being bombed by Iranian, targeted by Iranian drones and Fatah missiles, which are ballistic missiles, right? But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth. And these devils are trying to figure out why all of the nations, all of this evil that has come upon thee, right? Isaiah chapter 33, damn it. Isaiah chapter 33, verse 1. Right? Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. Right? Going back to who's dealing treacherously with America? All the heathen nations that they've been in confederacy with. Right? Like it says in Obadiah chapter 1, verse 7. Okay? Verse 10. Okay, verse 11. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt know whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off. What is the mischief that they can't put off? Okay, this mischief is through them goddamn Epstein files. They can't put it off. Okay, so they had to go in and start a war to get people's minds off of Donald Trump. That's how they talked him into it, because Donald Trump is a narcissist. He wants everybody to love him. All of these Edomite devils have a sense of narcissism about them. They want everybody in the world to love them without thinking about the sins of their forefathers, that their sins of their forefathers had done to the indigenous populations of people wherever nations that they dwell, where they push white privilege and white supremacy, thinking they're better, they're smarter, they're more intelligent than you. But then they depend on you for sustenance. They depend on you in order to prop themselves up above you. If you're no longer there, they become a caveman, and they start beating their women over the head with a fucking baseball bat and take them into their cave. Okay? They start eating raw fucking meat because there's nobody to cook it. Okay? They start digging up for mallows for their bushes. They start climbing mountains and go back to where they came from, because they don't have anybody that they can prop themselves up and with pride. They don't have anybody's neck that they could stand on. You see? Right? And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. See? So these devils are just pretty much finished, man. They're done. Right? Okay, what was that? What was I at? I think it was, right? Yep. Psalms 49 and 11. See? Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. And all of these devils have always thought that they could pass on everything that they've built onto their children and their children's children. They've always thought that. Ecclesiasticus, the book of Sirach, chapter 41, right, verse 6. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. And that's what you see on TikTok all this time. They're bitching, whining, and complaining about what their grandparents and their great-great-great-grandparents, who used to be slave owners, had done to the indigenous population and people. And they try to put it off, saying that we didn't put you in prison, we didn't hurt you people, we didn't do this, we didn't do that. You're a goddamn lie. You are your parents, you are your grandparents, you are your great-grandparents in the reincarnation all day long. What are you talking about? Okay? The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. Right? Woe be unto you, ungodly men, which have forsaken the law of the Most High. For if ye increase, it shall be to your destruction. Right? You're the only race of people that say that the law is done away with. Right? You have forsaken the law of the Most High God. It's going to be to your destruction. And that's what's happening. You're being destroyed in real time before the face of the entire planet. And you got the goddamn nerve to be mad about it? You people are something else, man. Hold on. I was finna go to Psalms, wasn't I? Let's go back to Psalms. Psalms chapter 50, verse 16. But unto the wicked the Most High saith, What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldst take my covenant in thy mouth, seeing as thou hatest instruction and casteth my words behind thee? Right? You have forsaken the law of the Most High God. These are the law of the Most High God. Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai are the instruction manual for you to discern the difference between right and wrong, between good and evil. And you've forsaken it. You threw it in the trash. The law is done away with, so you can continue to do wickedness and call it righteousness, and live by your own, by the strength of your own arm. Right? Where's it? That was in Jeremiah 17, wasn't it? Jeremiah 17 and 5. Right? Thus saith the Lord, Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord. For he shall be like a heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, and in a salt land shall not be inhabited. See? So the Most High, like I said in the book of Isaiah, you know, they're going to burn you up. There's nothing you can do about it. Your faces are going to be caught on fire with flames, right, of thermonuclear heat. Okay, that's because if Israel comes in and uses the Samson option, everybody's going to burn you motherfuckers up. This is the perfect opportunity for everybody to deal treacherously with you Edomites. Okay, because you did it to yourself, stabbing everybody in the back, stealing their natural resources. Obadiah chapter 1, verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. What? The border of wickedness. Right? The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee, and they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. And all the people are going, like I said before, are going to pack their shit and leave America because the U.S. petrodollar have been devalued so low, that their own currency will be more valuable than the U.S. petrodollar. So they won't have another reason to stay here in America. They're just going to shut up shop, ship all of their equipment back home, and set up shop back home and open their businesses there. Okay? There's going to be a mass exodus of all of these minorities. Okay? The only people that are going to be stuck here are the Israelites. Right? All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rahab Kakodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for pushing 100% truth and rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect.